So we have two very courageous people here on stage. It's not an easy call. And I would like to introduce Antoine Meyer and Leonie Hoffmann. And they're going to share some ideas about the journey. Okay? Let's give them like 30 seconds. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So hello, everyone. My name is Leonie.
And I am Antoine. We are two students from SASI, the Sustainability Master. And we are a bit stressed to talk about in front of you, but it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, so Igor and Daniel, they came to us and said, okay, we should take some time, 15 minutes, to talk how we see the future, 2050. And it was quite challenging. But to start, we wanted to share some key future facts. And
yeah, because the environmental breakdown has begun, and it will affect our lives, our economic prosperity, and also our democracy. And we need today to decrease our GHG emissions by 43% by 2030 to reach our plus 1.5 target. But current global efforts are insufficient for now to meet our targets, and current policies and actions lead us for now to a world in chaos at plus 2.7 degrees.
yes, so it looks quite concerning for me when I look into the future and look into these numbers. And as we see, that climate change is already here. It's not something that we are talking about in our head and the science is telling us, like we see it, not only here in California, but also in France and in Germany, and especially in the global south. So yeah, here you can see between 2013 and 2023, the state has seen at least $50 billion in wildfire damage.
Yeah, and the people we love, the places we love are going to be affected by climate change and by the environmental breakdown, and also the animals that are around us. The biodiversity is collapsing with a 69% decrease in the average wildlife populations in the world, according to the WWF, between 1970 and 2018. So it means that in the Rambouillet forest near, there were 10 deers in 1970, and there are only 3 now. So it's a lot. And also our health is threatened because each year 7 million people die in the world prematurely, according to the WHO, because of air pollution, and it's 40,000 in France. So Leonie, what can we do about this?
Yeah, so when I think about the future, I think about now, because I think the future is now, and it begins with us, with each of us here in this room, because actually the decisions that we take today really affect how we live tomorrow. And a lot of people ask me sometimes why I'm so passionate about this whole topic of sustainability. And I can say that I think it's a big, big challenge, but it's also a major opportunity to live today, because right now it's a time where we can actually act. And when I look into the future, and hopefully I will have children and grandchildren, and they look at me and they say, okay, what did you do in the moment where you can actually had a choice? And I want to say I give everything that I could. So let's be a little bit more optimistic and think and dream a bit. So how I see 2050 with a little bit of dream, and it's really high level, okay? So when we look at the projection, so we have around 9.8 billion people in 2050, so quite a lot of people, and 68% will live in urban areas. So I think we need to rethink how we build cities, first of all. So I thought I picked 2 points, cities and energy. So how do I see cities in 2050? So first of all, I hope that there will be some cities where you have restriction of cars, where you have more bicycle lanes, where we can come from A to B. We need more energy efficient buildings. And also I want to have like more kind of high-speed railways when I look into the USA to kind of reduce the domestic flights. When we look into the energy point. So did you know that the global annual renewable capacity increased by 50% in 2023 according to the IPCC? This is the fastest growth rate in 2 decades. And my wish for the future is that we keep this space up and that we basically keep growing and keep the momentum up. So here, when I look in 2050, of course I can dream, hey, can we get rid of the fossil fuels? To be honest, I think it's quite a challenge because I'm writing right now my master thesis about CCS technology, and we know that all this kind of technologies cannot be built out of thin air. So we will have rest emission, and hopefully until 2030, 2040, we kind of take the CCS technology and create a little bit of momentum there to kind of take the rest emission and capture it to prevent it that the emission is released into the atmosphere. So Antoine, I know this was really high level. What do you think about it?
It sounds great, but for me you're a bit too optimistic, too much optimistic, because it's not the good slide, but you're a bit too much optimistic about how technology is going to enable us to decarbonize the economy. You can switch, I guess. And the next one. Okay, so I wanted, before introducing my vision of the transition through degrowth, I wanted to show you a graph about how systems work, and coming from the work of Donella Meadows. So I wanted to explain that the Earth system is finite, and that the way the exponential pressures we are and that because we are living in a great acceleration, we are putting exponential pressures to the Earth system, and so that we had the choice between the collapse of the system because limits have been too much overshot, or the oscillation back into the system. So, you can go ahead, and I would like to talk to you about degrowth, because some thinkers and scholars thought that rather than suffering from an unmanaged degrowth, we should organize it. And they, according to degrowth scholars, the degrowth is a planned reduction of energy and resource use designed to bring the economy back into balance with the living world in a way that reduces inequalities and improves the human well-being. So degrowth, it's only a transition toward a steady-state economy where we respect planetary boundaries and where everyone can have decent living standards. You have to know 2 things about degrowth. First, decoupling is a myth. Like achieving the decoupling of our GHG emissions and the growth of GDP won't be achieved in the right rhythm needed. So our main strategy must be sufficiency. And this sufficiency, it must begin with us, with the upper classes in the Western countries. Degrowth must begin by the top, so that we can let room for the global south to develop in a sustainable way. So my vision of degrowth, it's where people can recover a say on what they produce and need, where people can recover a say on how technology affects their life, and they can think and discuss together how we can adapt to the effects of natural disaster. So we could have people working in upcycling centers to learn how to repair their stuff and their bikes in cities. Low-techs will have a major role, and farmers, for example, will be able to repair and build their machines autonomously. Workers will recover their means of production to convert their polluting companies and to produce useful and sustainable things such as cargo bags. And useless mega projects such as shopping malls on farmlands or motorways like the A69 in the south of France will be abandoned. So more sufficiency, more conviviality, more democracy, it's my vision of the transition, and it's the double coincidence of the growth. What needs to be done, what is unavoidable, can make us happier.
Yes, so you see, we have different visions of the future, and it's quite challenging. And a really good job, because we had prepared a different slide set, and he wanted to show you some graph, but you did a really good job. So, yeah, we have a different vision of the future, and it's quite challenging. We met in class, and we saw, okay, we see different in the future. But I think it's fair to discuss and to hear out different opinions, because I think if we have this one solution that fits it all, we would already be done. So it's good to keep it going and keep the discussion going. But we have one common ground, because we think that education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world. And when I think of 2050, already before, I would love that everyone really understands what climate change is about, and not only what we need to do, but really the scientific facts. I worked before HSC 1 year in sustainability part-time, but I came here and thought I know everything about the transition, but actually I didn't know nothing. So HSC gave me basically the foundation, like really understand that it's a really complex topic, the scientific background, but my wish for the future is that not only the privileged people who can afford to buy this education know about climate change, but that is accessible for everyone. And I think it starts maybe also when we look into the future, that really the children in the secondary school, that they're kind of getting a new subject, and also for HSC and all the other universities, that they really build a foundation that basically sustainability is taught at every master's, in every program, in every MBA, and that everyone, yeah, can have kind of this access to this education, because education is key. We found this really interesting picture. It's kind of, yeah, maybe not the reality of the future, but it comes from Forbes, and it shows that we will have different jobs in the future. According to the Global Job Report, the green transition could create 30 million jobs in clean energy, efficiency, and lower emission technologies by 2030. And I think that each business school, but also all the other universities, need to prepare the students to really become the leader of the future, but be aware of this kind of change in the job market. And yeah, therefore we need education, right?
Yeah, and HSC is doing a lot to prepare us for the transition, but a lot more has to be done, especially how economics are taught at HSC. But we had a great experience here in SASI, and that when we can agree on is that Leonie, you will agree with me, but is that we need everyone together. It's the emergency. And we need 100% of our brain, financial, muscular, and imaginative resources to tackle this issue. And also, we need to keep democracy and the discussion alive. Because if polarization is too important, we won't be able to lead this transition. And for me, the 2019 French Citizen Convention for Climate was an amazing thing, because random people were brought in the same room, and they come up with very courageous proposition, and it was so hopeful for me that you can bring random people together and take the right decisions.
So at the last end of our presentation, short talk, we want to present what gives us hope, and we asked some fellow students in our certificate, and we got some answers. So Juliane said that the fact that our generation is more mobilized regarding climate change than any before is inspiring to her, and I think she's right.
And Fernanda, who is, I don't know if she, yeah, she said that she sees a shift in attitudes and thinking where, when it comes to sustainability, the demand for greener products, technologies, and overall ways of living is on the rise.
And what gives me hope actually is the certificate that we had here at HEC, because it was different generation that came together. We had people from all around, from different cultures, but also different generation. We had EMBAs, MBAs, master, but also Nicole students who come together and we discuss for around, I think it was 3 to 4 weeks now, the challenges and opportunities.
And for me, the environmental breakdown worries me a lot. The future is full of fear, but a democratic surge where we can finally care together about our environmental problem that will enable to finally launch a transition towards a slower, a greener and fairer world is the only thing that gives me hope.
And last but not least, we came up with one picture, because in the beginning of our journey at HEC, we had the privilege to speak to Rob Hopkins, and he gave us hope. So he said, I've been to the future, we won. And the last sentence with what I want to end this talk is that a small story. Like, my dad always came to me when I had a problem when I was younger, and he said, Leonie, you cannot solve your problem with the same mindset you created it. And I think it's so right when we look at the climate scenario. We need to be more creative. We need to step outside the box. We need to take this conversation that are sometimes uncomfortable to really then say in the end, okay, we've been to the future and hopefully we will win.
So what can I say? I need you for a couple of seconds with me here. This is kind of nicely wrapping up, I think, today. So we have some food for thought, and I really thank you for creating this beautiful presentation. So we have diverging opinions, but I think what brings us together is that we're trying to work on a solution, and eventually the better argument wins, or it doesn't even mean the better, it's just where we're combining the best of both points to kind of advance. And with that, Igor, I don't know, we can have a little box of chocolate. So say thank you for all of this. And so thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for reaching out to us.